So we will begin in child's pose, your child's pose. And we'll use this child's pose to just sort of center ourselves, ground ourselves, and release the to-do list for later today and just focus on the next hour and really devoting that to yourself. So when I'm in child's pose, I really like to think about the compression of the third eye, the space in between the brow, into the mat. It's said that our third eye is our muscle of intuition. And in uncertain times, it's really important to have that intuition muscle well versed. So practice I like to use to help me really center myself, release all those extra thoughts that the mind will definitely conjure throughout the practice, is I use a little visualization. So I imagine that inhale coming through my third eye and traveling all the way down to my tailbone. And as I exhale, I reverse that visualization all the way out. And start to really deepen the breath, breathing through in and out through the nose if it's available for you. Maybe even introducing the Ujjayi breath, which is just a little tiny constriction of the throat to give the breath a sort of ocean sound. And just that little sound allows you to stay connected with the breath, because then when you become really used to practicing with that Ujjayi breath and that sound, you immediately notice when it's not there. You notice that your breath has maybe started to shorten or not stayed connected with your movement. All right, so enough talking. Staying in child's pose here for about 5 more breaths. We'll set an intention for our practice, maybe dedication or something you'd like to focus on today. Now on your next inhale, you're going to start to firm the hands down. Push the bum back into the heels, making this a bit more active. Exhale, really push into the mat. And then on your next inhale, take it over to the left side. So reach over, keeping that right hip really sealing down and stretching out the side body. Take a deep breath into that right lung. Next inhale, bring yourself back through center. And exhale, bring yourself over to the right. Same thing, sink into that left hip. Breathe nice and deep. And slowly inhaling, bringing yourself back to center. Really firming into the hands. On your next inhale, you're going to slither yourself forward onto your belly. So bringing yourself all the way down. Have the elbows tucked and tight onto your side body. We're just going to take a couple breaths in a really super baby cobra, which means you could lift your hands even off. So you're engaging the core, pushing into the tops of your feet. Just inhale to rise, exhale to bring it down. So just finding that connection of core and breath. Inhale. Exhale. Really keep it low. We haven't warmed up the back yet. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. You're going to open the arms out to a T. You'll bring that right hand in close to the chest. Kick the right foot up, bending the right knee. And then slowly roll over onto that left shoulder. So the bottom of your foot, of your right foot, will come down to the mat, knee points up. And then make sure you're relaxing the neck and the head onto the mat. Just giving that left shoulder a nice stretch. One more breath here. Exhale, roll yourself back onto your tummy and take it to the other side. Move with your breath. Inhale. So roll yourself over. Left knee points up. Make sure you're resting the head on the mat. Next inhale, slowly rolling back onto the belly. You're gonna push into the hands and bring yourself all the way back to child's pose for a moment there. And inhale, bring yourself just up onto your knees. We're gonna be here for just a little while, but if it's not comfortable on the knees, you can come onto your bum as well. So as we inhale, we're just gonna warm up our wrists. So I take call this the Apsara dance. Really take it to the full flexion. This is really good for those of us working on our computers most of the day. Bring it all the way up and then roll it down, switch directions of the wrist. Take it up one more time. Make sure you just switch directions as you come up. So hopefully generating some heat in the forearms. You're really taking it to the full extent. Warm up those muscles there so that we protect the wrists when we're in our tabletop and our plank. And then just shake it out. And then we'll come into our tabletop. All right. So once we get there, let's just take some organic movements, maybe swaying side to side, or maybe taking, I like to call them the crazy eights, where you draw a figure eight with your hips. Taking any movements that feel good before we come into our more traditional cat-cow movements. And then find yourself in a neutral posture. So you have the hands right under the shoulders. Give a little micro bend to the elbows so that you're not hyperextending. And then you're gonna push into the tops of the feet so much that it lifts your knees just an inch off the mat. Feel that engagement in the core and the tops of the feet, and then slowly let the knees come back, but keep that core engagement. As you inhale, we're gonna drop the belly, gaze up. Exhale, push up through the spine, tuck the chin. Move with your own breath. Really grip into the mat with each fingertip. Keep pushing into the tops of the feet. You can also tuck the toes if that works better for you to keep that engagement. Let's take one more round of your own breath. Really drop that belly. Really push that spine up to the ceiling and come back to a neutral spine. We'll start by bringing that right foot out, but my ball of my foot is on the mat, so I haven't lifted my foot yet. All right, and you can keep it right here, or you'll be able to lift it here, so you can choose. So we're gonna take a deep inhale. As you exhale, you're gonna curve and round, bring the knee towards your nose. So it's up to you if you wanna tap it back or if you wanna keep it lifted and play with the balance. So as you exhale, you curve and round into that tight ball. Inhale, lengthen nice and long. And as you curve and bring it in, think about trying to bring that knee as close to the face and chest as you can. Really use the core. All right, you can stay right here, or you can start to incorporate that left hand for even more balance. Just got two more on this side. Whoop. Last one, really lengthen. Curve it all up. We're gonna lengthen it out once more. Just drop that left hand down, and then like the right foot, come down to be parallel with the back edge of your mat. All right, we're taking a modified side plank, so push into that left hand, micro bend in the elbow, and then inhale that right hand up. So stacking the shoulders, pushing firmly into that outer right edge of your foot. If you feel really imbalanced, you can kickstand that bottom foot out. Otherwise, one nice thin line. Maybe gaze up to that right thumb. Deep inhale. Exhale, bring it back down to that tabletop position. So we're gonna take a little break there. And we're just gonna take the opposite cat-cow, which is more of like an oblique stretch. So you're gonna look over your shoulder and curve your bum out, like you're looking at your tail. And then as you exhale, take it to the other side. Move with your own breath. Inhale to one side, exhale to the other. So you're really pushing the ribs down towards the hips and bringing that hip bone up towards the ribs. One more, both sides. And coming back to center. All right, once again, checking in with that alignment, pushing firmly into the fingertips like you're getting that little suction cup on the palm of your hand. Push into the tops of the feet. Inhale, drop the belly, gazing up. Exhale, curve and round, tuck the chin in. Inhale. Exhale. Coming to that neutral spine. We'll take it to the other side now. So left foot comes back. All right, just rock it back and forth a bit here. And then we're gonna bring that knee into the chest. So inhale to lengthen. Exhale, bring that knee up as high as you can. You can choose if you want to tap it back or balance. Curve and round. Inhale it out. Remember, we can stay right here. So there's 3 levels of this. If you want, you can start to incorporate that right arm lengthening and curve and round. 3 more. Really push into those left fingertips. Reach it out. Slowly drop that right hand down. Bring that left foot to come to the back edge of your mat. Maybe kickstand that bottom leg out. And then stacking the shoulders. All right? You can gaze straight down, straight out. Or if you want balance challenge, you're going to gaze up to that left thumb. Keep a little micro bend in that right elbow to protect the joint. Keep pushing into those fingertips. Deep inhale here. Exhale, bring that left hand down. Come back to that oblique crunch or opposite cat-cow. Swaying it side to side, wagging your tail. And then just allowing ourselves to push back briefly here to child's pose. So sink into the heels, stretch out the hands. Bring that third eye back down to the mat. And slowly bringing yourself up, coming into our first downward facing dog. So take your time to get there. Once you're there, feel free to take any movements that feel good, maybe pedaling out the feet, maybe lifting each leg, just seeing how it feels before you find some of that stillness. And also just checking in where the mind is maybe taking you during the practice thus far. Seeing if you can recenter back to that intention. Next inhale, we'll come to the tiptoes. Exhale, walk or step yourself forward to the front of the mat. Inhale, half lift, push into the shins, nice 90-degree angle. Exhale, deep fold, tucking the chin. Inhale, sweep the arms all the way up to the top. Exhale, hands to heart center. Pause there for a moment. Bring your feet together. Really nice and close toes. Standing nice and tall, tuck the tailbone. Feel the spine lengthen, maybe even a little tuck of the chin so you lengthen the back of the neck. Pushing the palms together at the sternum and closing the eyes. First little balance pose here. Just always nice to check in and see how much are you swaying when you think you're just standing up. And we'll take a few rounds of Surya Namaskar here. Inhaling, bringing the arms back up. Exhale, diving down into that forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, plant the hands, step walker, float it back to your plank pose. Maybe dropping the knees here and lowering yourself all the way down. Untuck the toes, push into the tops of the feet, squeeze the elbows in. Inhale, growing that cobra. Exhale, all the way down. Push yourself up, maybe through the knees, and then bring it back, downward facing dog. 3 deep breaths. Bending the knees as much as necessary at the start of our practice. Working on that straight line from the wrist crease to the tailbone. Next, inhale to the toes. Exhale, bring yourself to the front of the mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, deep fold, tuck the chin. Inhale, sweep the arms all the way up, hinging up at the hips. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, bring the arms back up, round 2. Exhale, swan dive down, hinging down. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, plant the hands, step walker, float it back. Maybe keeping the knees lifted. Lower yourself all the way down, elbows stay in tight. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, tuck the toes. Push yourself back, downward facing dog. 3 deep breaths here. Next, inhale to the tiptoes. Exhale, bring yourself to the front of the mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, deep fold, tuck the chin. Inhale, sweep it all the way up. Reaching the hands up, gazing to the thumbs. Exhale, hands to heart center. We're gonna take our third and final round here. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, hinge, diving down. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, step walker, float it back. Lowering it down, taking your vinyasa, maybe adding a chaturanga. Inhale, bringing it up to cobra, upward facing dog. Exhale, tuck the toes, push it back, downward facing dog. 3 deep breaths. Inhale to the tiptoes. Exhale, bring it forward. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, deep fold. Inhale, sweep it all the way up. Gaze up to those hands. Exhale, hands to heart center. Pausing once more here. Let's close the eyes. Bring the feet together. Bring the thumbs into the sternum. Feel the heartbeat. Feel the breath flow. Reconnecting with that intention. We'll continue to flow. Inhale, bring the arms back up, standing nice and tall. Exhale, dive down. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, plant the hands, and we're just going to step ourselves back to plank and then downward facing dog. So you can always skip that vinyasa by just pushing back to down dog. And you can always elect to take it as well, even if we don't. Inhale that right leg up to the sky for 3-legged dog. And then as you exhale, bring the knee towards the nose and step that right foot in between the hands. Yogi's choice here, you might want to keep the knee up or knee down. Do whatever feels better for you. Some days one way feels better than the other. So we're going to inhale and really sink the hips down nice and low as you lift the heart, lift the head. And as you exhale, you're going to push the hips back, Lengthen. You can choose toes down or toes up. See what stretch, or which gives you a better stretch. All right, and we're gonna flow that. So we're gonna inhale forward, exhale, push it back. Take a couple more rounds of your own breath. You can always pause in either one of these postures if it feels like it needs a little bit more. And then we're all gonna meet in that front lunge, right? And we'll plant that left hand nice and firmly, fingers spread wide. Inhale that right arm up, coming into a twist. Same thing, knee can be up or down. Really think about twisting from the abdomen, from the core, rather than just throwing that right arm up and back as far as you can. Deep inhale here. Exhale, bring that right hand down. You're gonna push back, lift up that back knee if you had it down on the ground. So we're gonna come into a wide-legged fold. So bring yourself to the wide edge of your mat. All right, inhale, half lift, nice flat back. You can either stay right here, or as you exhale, you might be able to lower the upper body down a bit. Wherever you end up, finish by releasing the neck and the head. And then choose whatever arm variation allows you to feel most comfortable to really release. So while the muscles in our legs are telling us we're doing something the wrong way, we're working on turning that off and releasing the quadriceps, releasing the hamstrings, releasing the calves and the shins and the muscles around the knee, and just letting gravity do the work here. Next, inhale, you're gonna bring it back up to that half lift. As you exhale, bring it to the back of your mat, coming over the left foot now. That's right, we're doing the same thing. Inhale to gaze up, sinking the hips down. And as you exhale, push the hips back, straightening both legs, bowing over that front leg. Moving with your own breath, knee can be up or down. And then we'll all meet in that front lunge. Plant your right hand. Inhale that left hand up. Reach and gaze up to that left thumb. Push firmly into the right hand. Once again, think about twisting from the core. Engaging the core. One more deep breath. As you exhale, bring that left hand down and returning to that wide-legged stance once again. See if you can heel toe the feet a little bit wider and think about pigeon toeing those toes in a little bit so that the heels go a little bit wider. It helps you grip into the mat a bit. Inhale, half lift, maybe staying right here. Maybe seeing if you can lower down a little bit, maybe to the forearms, releasing the neck, the head, all the muscles in the legs. You really got to use your brain on this one and try to turn them off as much as you can. Next, inhale, come to that half lift. Exhale, bring yourself back towards the front of your mat. Step back, yogi's choice, flow or not to flow. So you can go back to that down dog, or you can take that vinyasa. We'll all meet in downward facing dog. We're going to drop the knees down for a moment. Just take a little breath in child's pose. If you need a drink of water, if you want to just give the wrists a little break. Take about 3 rounds of breath there. And then slowly we'll come back to our downward facing dog. You're gonna bring the feet nice and close together in your down dog, so that when you inhale, that right leg up, the left leg's more in the middle for balance. Take a deep inhale in that three-legged dog, and as you exhale, once again, step that right foot in between the hands. All right, we're gonna all lower our left knee down. So if you have any knee issues, you can always double up your mat and then untuck your toes. All right, so we're gonna really open this left hip flexor now that it's warmed up. You might stay right here and feel a good stretch. Next step is to try to bring the hands up to the, just below the knee on the top of your thigh. You might feel okay right here, but before we go any further, really think about driving the tailbone down towards the ground, tucking it, lifting the pubic bone, engaging the core. And then from here, you might be able to lift the hands into prayer. If these hands are providing a lot of the support for your lower back, keep them there. If you come here and feel that kind of fall out, we're not there yet. And then the last step, you might be able to lift the hands up and over the head. All right, super intense stretch in that front hip flexor. Let's take one more deep breath. Then we're gonna all bring our hands back to the knee. We're gonna come into a twist. So you're gonna bring that left elbow to the outside of your right knee, and then bring your right palm to meet the left. And then really push into the hands, trying to bring the thumb towards the heart. So it might feel like it's way up by that right ear. Try to push that right hand down to help you twist more deeply. One more deep breath. We're gonna come back to the front, all right? We're gonna tuck those toes, lift up that back knee, and step that left foot in. So we're coming into pyramid pose. It should feel good to straighten those legs. All right, so not as wide as a warrior one or warrior two, probably about 2.5 feet apart. All right, so you get some options here. You can keep your hands on the ground. You can have your hands on the shin, or if you want to do a little bit of shoulder and heart opening, we're going to bring our hands back behind us. So you could either do like so, like grab opposite elbow area, or you can interlace the hands, whichever feels best for you. So if you feel a little unstable in that pyramid, you can keep the hands on the ground or the shin. Otherwise, maybe try with a little arm variation. And then let the head drop down, gaze back to that left big toe. One more deep breath. And if you've got the hands clasped, we'll slowly all release our hands back down to the ground and step back into that plank. Deep inhale here, and then exhale to flow or push back downward facing dog. So although it is a slow flow, we've got some deep stretches, deep twists. All right, bring those feet together. Inhale that left leg up to the ceiling. Exhale, come to step in between the hands. We're all gonna lower that back right knee, untuck the toes. All right, so starting to sink in first to that hip flexor. Bringing the hands up to the knee. All right, thinking about grounding that tailbone down, lifting the chest. All right, engaging the core. Feel like you're lifting your pubic bone as you tuck the tailbone. And from here, you might be able to bring hands to heart center. Or a final expression, bringing the hands up overhead. Really active hands, like I've got a beach ball up here. And my shoulder blades are down the back, and I'm sinking more deeply into that front hip flexor rather than resisting. One more deep breath. Slowly bringing the hands down, We're gonna come into that twist. So bringing that right elbow across in front of that knee. All right, left hand's gonna come to me right. You see it's at my jawline here. So you're gonna take a deep inhale and then use your exhale to push into that left hand to try to bring that thumb closer to the heart. Each exhale, you might be able to twist a little bit deeper. Use the breath. One more. Inhale, we're gonna come back to center. I'll plant the hands, untuck the toe, and step that back foot in, just about 2.5 feet coming into our pyramid pose. We get a nice long leg, nice stretch. Should feel it in the IT band, the outer IT band of your left leg here. So play with the distance, all right? And then really think about keeping, not letting that left hip pop out, but keeping it aligned with your foot and your knee. All right, so choosing your arm variation. If you're interlacing the fingers, put the opposite thumb on top. It'll feel a little wonky. Dropping the neck and the head, gazing back to that back right toe. One more deep breath. Slowly releasing the hands to the ground. Step that left foot and right foot back to follow into plank. Deep inhale in our plank. Exhale, either push back or flow. Downward facing dog. Once we get to our down dog, we're gonna walk our hands back to our feet, so we're doing a forward fold at the back of our mat. And you can choose here. If you've got sore wrists at all, I recommend gorilla pose, so bringing the hands under the feet and bending the knees and wiggling the toes. You might also just want to take ragdoll and grab opposite elbow. Or if you're feeling quite flexible, you might take ragdoll with arms behind the legs and drop the crown of the head towards the ground. Whatever feels good for your body. Enjoying the inversion. Allow the neck to lengthen. Maybe shake it yes and no. 2 more deep breaths in that inversion. And slowly releasing the hands, coming back into your downward dog. We've got one more little level of flow and then we'll start to cool it down. So bringing the feet nice and close together in that down dog. Inhale that right leg up to the sky, 3-legged dog. Let's hold it for a whole breath if you can. Keep the shoulders away from the ears. Deep inhale. Exhale, come to step it in between the hands. This time we're gonna take high lunge. So you're gonna stay, if it's possible for you, on the back ball of your foot and then come up. If you feel really unstable here, you can also be in warrior one, which is the heel on the ground. Of course, if we're up on that foot, we're gonna feel a little bit more of a stretch continuing in that front left hip flexor. So then think about getting the knee over the ankles, so maybe bending that knee a little bit more. Same thing, drive that tailbone down, engage the core, feel it wrap around. You can have hands at heart center, or we'll bring the hands up. Once again, if they're up, you get that beach ball in between the hands. It's really active arms, shoulder blades, down the back. See if you can sink in just a little bit lower. One more inhale. And as you exhale, we'll all come into prayer hands if we're not there already. We're gonna come into that same twist, obviously more challenging without the knee on the ground. So if you need to drop that back heel, go for it. Inhale here. As you exhale, you're gonna bring that left elbow to the outside of that right knee. Push into those hands. You might find it, although more balanced challenge, maybe a little bit easier to twist when that knee is not on the ground. If it's available, gazing up and over that right shoulder, more balanced challenge. All right, one more deep breath. Inhale, we're gonna come back to that prayer. All right, now we'll all drop that back heel, straighten that front leg. Should feel really good to get those both straight. Now we're a bit wider here. We're gonna come into our triangle pose. So this left back foot is gonna just pinwheel out a bit. Inhale, the arms open. As you exhale, reach forward, drop that right hand down, coming into triangle. So now we're using that twist. We're using that warm up of pyramid pose. We're stacking our shoulders, maybe gazing up to that left thumb. Push firmly into both feet. Try to balance the weight between both rather than just leaning into that front. One more deep breath. As you exhale, that left hand is going to come down, frame the feet, come back into the ball of that foot, step it back to plank, and we're going to hold. Drop the knees if you need to. Just keep a nice long spine, micro bend in the elbows. So our one little, work the core. We got one more deep breath. And then flow or push back. We'll all meet in downward facing dog. Bringing the feet nice and close together. We just got one more side. Inhale, left leg up. Full breath here in three-legged dog, holding, strengthening that upper body. Deep inhale. Exhale, come to step it in between hands. Prepare for that high lunge. Maybe drop that back foot if you need to, otherwise bringing yourself up. Driving the tailbone down, lifting in front. Really wrap around the core, feel that strength. And then bend into that front knee a bit more to really open that front hip flexor. Hands can come to prayer, or you can reach them up and over. We're up and over, actively pushing the palms energetically towards one another. Shoulder blades down the back, gazing forward. Deep inhale. Exhale, let's bring the palms back down if they're not there already. One more deep inhale. Use your exhale to twist. Elbow out to the side of the knee. Pushing into the palms. Firing up that back leg, get it really nice and straight. Maybe gazing up over that left shoulder. One more deep breath. Inhale. Bring it up and back to center with control. And then we're gonna step that foot in, straighten both legs, should feel good, not too far in. And we bring that back foot, it's like it's parallel with the back of our mat, but the toes are tucked in a little bit. Inhale the arms out, reaching forward, and then dropping that left hand down, coming into your triangle pose. Maybe you can gaze up to that right thumb. If it doesn't feel good on the neck, you can also just gaze down or straight out. Stack the shoulders, stack the hips, really push into both feet evenly. Try to straighten both legs best you can. One more deep breath. Bring the gaze down, let the hands follow, frame the foot. We got one more plank here. You can always drop the knees if you need to, just keep that nice straight line. All right. Micro bend in the elbows, push firmly even into the fingertips. Let yourself lengthen. One more deep breath. On your exhale, slowly lower yourself down to flow. Or sorry, push back. Downward facing dog. From our down dog, we're gonna inhale that right leg up just to bring that foot through to come into pigeon pose. So one last little hip opener here. Untuck the back toes. If this doesn't feel good for you, come into your figure four pose on your back. Same thing, just a different model. If pigeon comes easy to you, you can also work towards straightening or getting this shin bone parallel to the front of your yoga mat. If you're not there yet, just keep it tucked into that left hip. All right, so lengthening nice and long as you bring yourself down and forward into resting pigeon. Finding a place where you can completely surrender and relax and use that visualization either with the third eye or bringing that breath into that right hip. Knowing that as we slow down, our minds speed up. So using the power of the breath and the intention to honor this last part of our practice, our cool down. One more deep breath here. Right, and staying in your pigeon pose, you can either stay exactly where you are. I'm gonna show you a little twist option. So if you're here in pigeon, one option is to just thread the needle. So bring that left arm under right, which will just add in a twist. If you want one that's a bit more active, you're gonna bring those prayer hands and bring the elbow to the arch of your foot and come into similar pose, but in our pigeon. So three options. One, stay right where you are. Two, thread the needle. Drop the head. Three, twisted. All right, so take what feels good for you. Just a couple more breaths on this side. Next, deep inhale. We're gonna plant the hands and bring yourself back. You can either just swoop that leg around or you can come back into down dog to help you neutralize before you switch sides. Bringing that left leg forward now. All right, so make it your own. Choose your intensity. As you exhale, bring yourself forward and down. And find a spot where you can rest and use the breath. You can choose to stay right here, or you might take that right arm and thread the needle so that the right shoulder rests on the mat. Or if you want something a bit more active, you can come into that twist on the right side. Really wring yourself out. Whatever feels right for your practice today. And taking 2 more breaths here. On your next inhale, you're going to slowly unwind yourself. Bring yourself maybe into one last down dog to neutralize. Otherwise, we're going to meet on our backs. So if you want to just wrap that leg around and come onto your back. So once we're there, we're going to bend the knees and bring the feet as close as you can to the bum. We're going to come into our bridge pose. So reaching the fingertips, maybe can touch the heels, and then really push the arms, triceps, shoulders into the mat. You want to look straight up when we do bridge pose. so we don't tweak the neck at all. And focus on keeping the knees over the ankles, not letting them splay out or in. All right, we'll do 3 rounds. So we'll start out very simple. So first, flatten the lower back to the mat by tucking the tailbone. Take a deep inhale. And as you exhale, push the hips up towards the sky. All right, push firmly into the hands to see if you can come a little bit higher. Maybe wiggle the shoulder blades underneath. Gazing straight up, 3 deep breaths. If you ever feel any pinching or discomfort, you can just slowly let yourself come down. 1 more deep breath. As you exhale, bring the bum towards the heels, lengthening the spine, coming back. And let the knees windshield wiper left to right. We'll come into round 2. So you can always do the exact same thing we just did. This round, we're going to bring the arms together and clasp the hands. It's all optional. So first, flatten the lower back, tucking the tailbone, push into the arms. Deep inhale. Exhale, bring the hips up and start to work the shoulder blades underneath. Maybe you can clasp the fingers together, which will allow you to make a fist and push up into that fist to bring the hips maybe a little higher. Check that the knees are still over ankles, gaze is straight up. 2 more deep breaths. All right, inhale, exhale, releasing the hands, let the bum come towards the heels. Neutralize, windshield wiper left to right. So we want to avoid bringing the knees into the chest right away after we do a big back bend. Always want to avoid the counter pose too fast or too intense. So we'll take 1 last round. You can do either round we just did. Otherwise, we'll come into supported bridge where we bring the hands under the hips like shelves. And we keep pushing into the hands and the body pushes back with gravity. But we want to make sure we push the body back to protect the wrists. All right, so smoothing out the lower back. Deep inhale. Use the exhale to bring the hips up. Work the shoulder blades underneath. And then I come onto my tiptoes and first bring 1 hand under to make that shelf and the other hand. So my fingers are wrapping around my hips while my palms push into the back, lower back. All right, 3 deep breaths. Keeping knees over ankles. I'm going to come back onto my tiptoes first. Slowly release the hands down and then let the hips come towards the heels. Windshield wiper the knees, and this time I'm going to look in the opposite direction that my knees go, taking it back and forth. All right, then we're going to bring our hands to the kneecaps first and just circle in one direction, massaging the lower back, and then take it in the opposite direction. And from here, you can now hug those knees in tight. Give yourself a tight squeeze. And maybe come into happy baby to really bring those knees and hips down. Maybe rocking and straightening. And we'll move into the next minute, taking any last postures the body might be calling out for. So maybe you want to take a shoulder stand, or maybe you want to move yourself to the wall to do legs up the wall, and you can do that your Shavasana there too. But taking any last postures that the body needs before it can totally surrender in our corpse pose. Taking about 5 more rounds of breath to bring you into your Shavasana. And once you have found a comfortable Shavasana for you, you're going to make sure you're allowing the feet to completely fall away, the hands fall away, releasing the calves, the kneecaps, the thighs, the glutes, releasing the core, allowing the breath to return to a natural state. So you can release the abdomen, the chest, allowing the shoulders melt into the mat, following all the way out to the fingertips. Releasing the jaw, the neck, the cheeks, all the muscles around the eyes, releasing the third eye, muscles around the ears, the forehead, the brow, all the way up to the crown of the head. Allowing yourself to completely surrender to the Shavasana pose, using the tools of your own breath and the intention to let the mind stay present right here. Coming in total relaxation and rest.